The dollar's lower against the euro and the yen today as German lawmakers consider buying Greek bonds, and existing home sales post the second largest decline ever. Nick Bennenbroek is head of currency strategy at Wells Fargo Bank. He joins us now on set with more on the story. Nick, always good to see you. Welcome back to Bloomberg News.
Good afternoon.
This story that we've been talking about with Greece, the 4 German lawmakers speaking on condition of anonymity say Germany's considering buying Greek bonds through state-owned lender KfW Group. What's that going to do to the landscape now as far as Greece is concerned, trying to deal with its finances?
Well, I think it's interesting for the euro and for Greece. It's probably one of the more concrete proposals that we've heard so far in terms of explicit a mechanism by which it would take place, and also an amount mentioned, $5 billion worth of billion euro of bonds, for example. Yeah. However, having said that, it's kind of unsourced at this point. There's no official confirmation from anyone, and there's still a long way to go in terms of what we're actually going to end up with. Is it going to be an EU rescue? Is it going to be an IMF rescue? So I think there's still a lot of uncertainty, but it's providing relief for the euro today, at least.
That's interesting, because the head of the IMF, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, saying today he's expressing confidence that the European Union is going to resolve Greece's fiscal problems without outside aid, and he said that the IMF is ready to help if asked.
Right, and I think most probably, if I had to lean one way or the other, I would say maybe it's going to be a European Union type rescue, and there won't be a call on the IMF. But nothing's set in stone, nothing's certain at this point, and I think one of the reasons the euro is doing okay today is because this has been one of the more concrete or sort of detailed proposals that we've had so far. But there is so much more that could happen before this whole Greek situation plays out.
Nick, how much pressure is Greece under from, it seems like, this three-tiered front, from the markets, from ratings companies, and from EU governments?
You're right. I mean, it's getting it from all sides at this point, and I mean, all of those are definitely stresses. I would say most probably, if you had to sort of rank them, I would put the EU partners are obviously applying a significant stress, as well as the markets in terms of the bonds, for example. Bond yields are rising. Yeah. And the ratings agencies, I mean, clearly that's also a difficult dynamic, but they're probably more concerned about the politicians and also the markets.
And how much extra yield are investors going to demand to hold Greece's debt?
Well, that's the big question, and the euro's doing okay today. There was no bond issue, a Greek bond issue this week. There's been some talk that they would try to come to the market this week or maybe next week in terms of a syndicated bond issue, a feeling that the yields on those Greek bonds will be perhaps 7% or even higher. It's very, very, almost getting up to 400 basis points against Germany.
Nick, let's talk about China for a second. Yuan forwards are strengthening. Is this a sign perhaps that China's central bank is going to allow appreciation to resume?
Well, the yuan forwards are slightly stronger. They're predicting about a 2.5% appreciation over the next year or so. We still think that there's a little ways off before we get a move from the Chinese authorities. We've seen some numbers, the CPI numbers just a little weaker at this point, and still no widespread comments or seemingly consensus for appreciation at this point. It'll happen probably mid-year.